Okay, wait notification. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the legendary Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, sir, and I just want to thank you again on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. Each interview that we have done has, of course, reached large amounts of our people. But the information, I go back and rewatch them and play them while I'm at work, and I just constantly learn something new and get different insight. And I'm just glad that you have given us the opportunity to publicly, bear witness to the teachings and hear you expound on the teachings. Is great, sir. So we just want to thank you and make sure that we salute you and give you the honor, to your face, sir. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm highly honored, just to be given the opportunity to have something to say. Yes, and then on top of that, I'm just grateful to be here, to have
yes,
something
sir.
to say.
Yes, sir.
When you get to be my age, every day is a blessing.
Yes, sir.
And you reach an age where you could say the majority of your life is composed of memories. I mean, the real life of a person isn't so much in the physical body. Of course, you have to have one. But the real life of a person is in the mind.
Yes, sir.
And so the longer you live, the more you accumulate memories. So your whole life is an accumulation of memories, both good and bad, and all of those memories are lessons.
Yes, sir.
So now some people try to bury their past because they have bad memories.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, memories can be either good or bad. Memories can give you something to live up to, and memories can give you something to live down. And unfortunately, if you don't know how to handle your memories, you see, then there's a tendency to bury them or put them under the rug.
Yes, sir.
Forget
yes, sir.
about them. But when you do that, when you bury your past, you've buried yourself. So you should stick around and live up to what you need to live up to. And you need to stick around and live down what you need to live down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm so happy and blessed to be alive long enough to have had the opportunity to live up to the great things that I was taught as a young man. You have to practice what you're taught.
Yes, sir.
Practice makes perfect. And so the longer you get to practice, the better you get at it, at anything. That's
yes,
just
sir.
the way it goes. After difficulty comes ease. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you have to live 60 or 70 years to learn how to live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So a lot of young people have difficulty in life. I know when I was young, life was difficult.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But the older I've become, the easier life becomes. And it just dawned on me not so long ago. I guess the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on to something. When he said you have to live 60 or 70 years before you learn how to live.
Yes, sir.
How to live. And then once you learn how to live, which is to say, now you have to be very clear about it. Not just how to live in a general sense, but you have to learn how to live your life.
Yes, sir.
The life that's been given to you, and not try to be somebody else. See, that's something, again, that plagues young people. Through no fault, it's just part of being young. You have to look up to people. You're a little guy, you're a little girl growing up.
Yes,
everybody's bigger than you. You look up to everybody.
Yes, sir.
And then even later in life, we're always looking up to other people and we're emulating other people. And some of those people are good examples. And that's a good thing to emulate them. And some people are bad examples, and it's a good thing to learn from them, but not emulate them.
Yes, sir.
But at a certain point, don't you have to live your own life? Don't you have to be an example of yourself? And don't you realize at a certain point that you are an example for other people?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So anyhow, just to close this little monologue, it's a good thing, and this is something that I came to somewhere along the line. I decided that I was going to be the best Muslim that I know.
Mm.
Now, I might not be that in somebody else's eyes,
Yes, sir.
see, but I'm not trying to be good in somebody else's eyes.
Mm.
I'm trying to be good in my eyes and in the eyes of Allah.
Oh, what, boy.
And whatever I am, good or bad, however I'm judged by Allah or by others, believe you me, I'm doing the best I can.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing the best I can. It might not be too good, but it's the best I can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't do no more.
Beautiful.
Except keep trying. So it's an honor, brother Joshua, to be on the People's Podcast. And I was talking about memories because once upon a time, I didn't know I had so many stories to tell. But that's
Yes,
all
sir.
that is.
Yes,
Those are just the memories of a life that's been lived. And what else to do with those memories except to share them with others so that they can, learn the lessons without the hard knocks.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And Dr. Alim, people are showing you love all around the world already. Thank you, Sister Miriam, saying assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima. Thank you, Sister Sandra. And you must be careful not to dim your own light. Absolutely. That's right. Beautiful. And people are showing love all around the world. I can't wait to upload this to YouTube. I wanted to speaking of memories, it's Mother's Day. And so, as of course, this is, your mother who you took care of for years, and of course took care of you in your younger years. My mother, Sister Sharifa Muhammad, and this Mother's Day is just a beautiful day. So first of all, shout out to all of the mothers. But what is one of your favorite memories that you have with your mother, sir?
Well, it's so many, but I guess the first thing that flashed in my mind when you asked the question was when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And I was out walking with my mother in front of our house. It was summertime. It was blazing hot, I remember, and the sun was shining bright. And I asked my mother, "What is light?" And she said, "It's the sun." And I said, "I know, Mom, but what's light?" And she said, "Oh, you'll have to figure that out for yourself, son." So that's been, kind of my life, trying to figure out what is the light, what is light, and what is it for? What is it? What is it for? What's the purpose of it? How can you use it?
Yes, sir.
How can you get more of it? Where does it come from? Where does it go to? So yeah, that my mother was. See, some people think of me as being a little intellectual or brainy, that kind of thing. They say those kinds of things, but I only take after my mother. See, one of the smartest people that I ever met in my life is my mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She was smarter than anybody.
Yes,
I mean,
sir. Yes, sir.
I've seen my mother handle some people. I mean, I've seen her handle lawyers. I've seen her handle police. I've seen her handle all kinds of things in life,
Yes, sir.
without batting an eyelash. And the greatest thing I'll say about my mother, and I've said it before, and it took, again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was right. I was about 70 years old on Amtrak train going south from New York back to Washington, going past Wilmington, Delaware, where my mother was living with my sister at the time. And I realized, as I thought about my mother, I said, my mom's a saint. I don't know of anything bad that my mother ever did. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I don't know. I'm not covering up something. I'm just saying I just plain out do not know of anything bad my mother ever did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And not only that, I don't know of anything that anybody ever said bad about my mother. I never had to fight anybody over my mother. Nobody ever said anything bad about her.
Praise be to
So
Allah.
as I was riding past on the train, I said, you know, you're a lucky man. You're a lucky man. You have a mother that's a saint. I never heard my mother raise her voice except when she was beating my behind. Did not tell you. But, you know, to get mad or losing her temper, or I never heard her utter a curse word out of her mouth. Not one time. And she was just, 40 days away from being 100 years old.
Oh,
So that's my mom. That's my mom.
yes, sir. Excellent. And shout out to all of the mothers out there. My sister Naima said that's beautiful. Donita Lake says, greetings of peace, dear brothers, peace. And thank you everyone who was watching. Okay, so Dr. Alim, we want to get straight into it because today, first of all, I have a huge announcement for everyone. I'm working on a series that's coming out. Or part of the series is the book of me compiling the interviews that I've done on transcribing the interviews that I've done on the People's Podcast. And one of the guests is Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad, who's been a reoccurring guest, who's given so much information. And he gave me his blessing, but I wanted him to do it publicly, so we don't have to worry about none of that. But you know, just to know that we're going to do the book of Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad, which is all of his interviews compiled into one book. So you can just go back and historically you'll be on Amazon. You can pull it up and get all of the information in book form. And I just want to thank you, Dr. Alim, for being so humble to allow me to pay respect and honor to you in that way, and for you to accept that. So I want to thank you again, sir, for that.
Well, I'm not. It's not so much being humble. I'm number one. I'm flat out flattered and honored.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so grateful because, you know, over the years, so many people have said to me, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to put a book out?
Yes,
and I
sir.
keep saying, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. You know, and so for you to do what you're doing is a great help to me. And I'm very grateful.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, and we're waiting on Dr. Alim. Camera just went out. Thank you, everyone who was watching. I got so many interviews today and taking so many notes for this podcast and for this episode. Everyone stay tuned. We're going to address Dr. Alim about some serious issues, about, of course, health, about what type of doctor he is, his time, his favorite memories with the Most Honorable Mr. Farrakhan, as well as with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Being one of in the nation prior to 1975. So thank you, everyone who's watching. Elijah A. Muhammad says, blessings. We need that book. Thank you very much, brother Elijah A. Muhammad. And thank you, Sister Anaya. Naima says she looks forward to the book. Happy Mother's Day to Sister Naima. Happy Mother's Day to Sister Anaya. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. Thank you, Sister Anita says you look well, Brother Joshua. Thank you very much. Boom, great. And we're just waiting on Dr. Alim to come right back so we can finish getting these questions. Please let us know your questions and your comments because, man, I'm telling y'all, we coming in hot today with some of these questions because since the last time I've interviewed Dr. Alim, I've been taking so many notes because so many people had so many questions on YouTube, and we take your questions very seriously, and we want to address them. And here we go, promote the panelists. And yeah, we want to get straight into it. All of these notes on top of notes. Yes, sir. Dr. Alim, you there?
Yes. Can you see me? Hear me?
Yes, sir. I can see you, hear you right now.
Okay. All right. So yes, I don't know if I just got knocked off the call. I don't know.
Okay, well, we're right here with you. Well, let's get into it, Dr. Alim. The first question that we have for you is that I asked you off air out of respect is that I saw there were some things online where some people were attacking you, calling you names, hypocrite, and just really going in on social media, which seems to be a thing that people do, slandering people. And I brought it to you to see, did you see it? Did you know that people were calling you hypocrites based off of some of your views and some of your opinions? And how did you feel that people were slandering you and calling you hypocrite based off of your views on the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, first of all, I'm really almost completely unaware of the slander that you say is going on on social media.
Yes, sir.
For one thing, I don't go on Facebook. because of that fact. That's all that is. That's just a cesspool of gossip and slander and impurity of every
Yes, sir.
sort.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but every time I have gone on Facebook, I mean, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. You know, I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
my hackles go up. I mean, I feel like I'm on hostile territory, and I really am. See, they changed the name of Facebook to Metaverse, something like that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, you need to look up the arcane meaning of meta. It means false. It means falsehood. So I'm not saying that there's no truth on Facebook, but I'm saying that the metaverse is set up in opposition to God's universe, which is based on nothing but truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So me, myself, I try to stay in God's real universe as much as I can, and I stay out of the metaverse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because there's nothing there but falsehood and slander and viciousness and violence and hatred and ignorance. And so that's not the kind. See, again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you have to live 60 or 70 years to learn how to live.
Yes, sir.
But one thing that I learned over my lifetime, I don't live in bad neighborhoods. I actually live in a good neighborhood where people,
yes,
where you know, you really don't even have to lock your door. You don't have to worry about somebody hijacking your car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's no burglaries going on. People don't knock you in the back of the head. Because I live in a good neighborhood. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, set yourself in heaven while you live.
That's right. That's right.
So now, as far as I'm concerned, Facebook is a bad neighborhood. I know people live in bad neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
And it's no fault of their own. I mean, I used to sell papers in bad neighborhoods. We used to go into the worst neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
And deal with the worst kind of people, with the worst kind of slander. I've been in bad neighborhoods so bad where people were so vicious, they put guns in your face.
Yes,
just
sir.
trying
yes,
to
sir.
tell them the truth, you know, with Muhammad Speaks. That's my personal experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So to be attacked and slandered in virtual reality in the metaverse, are you kidding me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That must be a joke. That's like being attacked by a cartoon character.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't pay no attention to the cartoon characters. I mean, if you look at the people who do the attacking, they actually have an existence in virtual reality. They don't live in the real world.
Yes, sir. Yes,
These
sir.
people are actually hallucinogenic. They might be psychotic too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
So they
sir.
don't actually have any real success in the real world, in the real universe. So their claim to fame is causing a ruckus in the virtual universe, in the metaverse.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So, like Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. So if that's where you want to rest your bones and spend your time and expend your energy, hey, go ahead and have all that's actually made for you. See, if you actually think about it, see, heaven and hell are conditions of life.
That's right.
So I try to spend 24/7, 100% of my time, and I give 100% of my attention and 100% of my energy to life in the real universe, in the real world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, I know that's unusual. That's strange. Because nowadays, most people spend most of their time, give most of their energy,
yes,
and
sir.
most of their attention to what's taking place. It's almost like Alice in Wonderland. They spend all
Yes,
their
sir.
time like Alice in Wonderland. So that's what's going on on Facebook with people using slander and making up stories and attacking people. So I don't pay any attention to it, but you can tell me what they say. I mean,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, because I can answer whatever it is that they're saying.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to go back to that question. I just want you to know people showing you love per usual. Thank you, Sister Tynetta. Sister Miriam says people are messy and miserable. Sister Naima says you better teach. Social media is not real. They never keep that same energy in person. I bear witness. Thank you, Naima. Sister Miriam says teach, Dr. Alim, teach. Thank you for that question. Beautiful. Well, the main question is you did a live about your understanding of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, 1975, what took place. You gave your opinion, and then somebody took that clip, posted it, and then started to call you hypocrite. And I just wanted to bring it to your, make sure that you're aware that this is what was being said about you. That was the question.
Oh, okay. Well, again, people don't understand what the word hypocrite means. I mean, anybody that would call me a hypocrite doesn't understand what hypocrite means. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave an exact definition of what a hypocrite is. He said a hypocrite is someone who comes in saying he believes and goes out saying he disbelieves. So now I can bear witness before Allah and man. Everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ever taught me, I believe it. And I never went back on what he taught and said I didn't believe it. I believe everything he ever taught. Now, one of the fundamental things that he taught that everybody that is a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad bears witness to, he said that in the whole history of the Nation of Islam, going back 76 or 78 trillion years, there never has been any such thing as a man coming back from a physical death.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is correct, then when someone raises the question, is it possible that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically alive? Well, if they're contending that it's possible for him to be physically alive after a physical death, I would say, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's not possible. And that's never happened in 76 trillion years. So anybody who contends that a man that was physically dead came back from the dead, they better come with a load of proof. I'll quote the astronomer Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan, when they asked him about aliens and life on other planets and all this kind of stuff that people like to talk about, he didn't deny that it's possible. He said, but when somebody makes an extraordinary claim, they better come with extraordinary proof.
Yes, sir.
You see, so I had a personal conversation with the doctor, the personal doctor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm a doctor. So we had a doctor conversation. He gave me a synopsis of the clinical condition of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad before he passed away. You can go look at the death certificate online. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad suffered from multiple diseases. What happened to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the years 1942 to 1947 when he was in federal penitentiary? He didn't talk much about it, but one of the things he did say, that's where they broke his health. So he had diabetes, he had hypertension, he had renal insufficiency, and the immediate cause of death was congestive heart failure. And there were other things as well, but those were the major clinical illnesses at the time of his passing in 1975. So now, if someone says that the doctor lied on the death certificate, there's a false death certificate. I didn't hear anything suspicious in what Dr. Charles Williams told me. It was a normal conversation between doctors. Now, after that, if somebody comes with some other claim, okay, bring your proof. Where's the proof? There's no proof of that. I'll end on this. See, a lot of the controversy stems from the book that was written by Brother Jabril. Is it possible that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically alive? Well, if you ask a question, that book is not making a statement. That book is asking a question. Is it possible? Well, from the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no, it's not possible. Now you can find in many religious scriptures this idea of resurrection, reincarnation, all of these notions trying to deal with the mystery between life and death. You know, and so there's many opinions about what happens to you when you die and what happens to you when you're alive. That's a big mystery. What's happening to me? I'm alive. What's happening to me? Much less what happens to me when I'm dead. So again, we can go around and around and around and around and never resolve the maybe question, which is it possible? I would say no. And if someone disagrees with me, then bring me the proof. And I'll end on this point, which again is just to quote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, I'll be the winner, living or dead. He didn't say I'll be the winner if I can keep living. He said, I'm gonna be the winner, living or dead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in other words, the crucial point of victory evidently doesn't have anything to do with his physical presence. The victory is not in his physical presence. And so again, I think we have to emerge out of this concept of life and existence only being physical. The life of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not physical, actually. I mean, he had a physical existence, true, but that was not the major part of that man. The major part of that man was mental and spiritual.
Yes, sir.
When did that die? When did his mind die? When did his teachings die? When did the spirit of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad die? It never died, and it never will die.
Okay.
You see, so again, I mean, that's my understanding. And
Yes,
people
sir.
are free to disagree with it. And Allah is the judge wherein we differ. But to go around slandering people, calling people names just because somebody disagrees with you, see, that's just childish and immature. And that's why
Yes,
they're
sir.
on Facebook, because that's a playground for children.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you for your, I'm coming to all your comments and your answer. I just want to clarify. Dr. Alim, did you ever believe that that was possible? Like, did you, when you were ministering, you were teaching and stuff, did you ever teach that that was the reality?
I always considered that it was possible, just like Carl Sagan considered it was possible for there to be life on other planets. But where's the proof?
Okay.
So for years and years, I'm waiting. Where's the proof? You know, when it was announced, let's go to the beginning of this.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to the root of it. In 1972, all of the ministers in the Nation of Islam were given a subject to teach by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or a message, I should say, to deliver to the believers. And the message was something like this, and we've heard it from Minister Farrakhan, but we heard it in 1972 from every minister. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said something like this. He said, I'm going away to get the new teachings. Don't change the teachings while I'm gone. While I'm away, the world will say and believe that I am dead, but I will not be dead. I'm going away to get the new teachings, and I will be gone approximately 3 years. So that was the message that was given to the entire Nation of Islam in 1972.
Yes, sir.
So in 1975, when it was announced that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was dead, hey, that's what we were told. The world would say and believe that I am dead, but I will not be dead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then I'll just give you the whole personal story. You know, I'm the assistant minister in Cleveland, Ohio, mosque number 18.
Yes, sir.
I'm in my last year of medical school. Something happened in the hospital that never happened before. On the loudspeaker in the hospital, they announced the death of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They didn't announce any news on the hospital loudspeaker.
Yes, sir.
My chief resident was a Muslim from Pakistan. He knew the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he just looked at me. He said, your sheikh is gone, so you can be excused for the day. I went home. I called up Minister Theodore Hamza, who was the minister of mosque number 18.
Yes, sir.
I asked him, they're saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is dead. Is that true? He told me, he said, brother, I just talked to the family. And they said, yes, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has passed away. I hung up the phone. I ran in the bedroom, boo-hooing and crying my eyes out, because my leader teacher was gone. And I don't think I cried more than 30 seconds when the thought came back. They said, wait a minute. Didn't he say that the world would say I'm dead and would believe that I'm dead and I will not be dead? So I immediately stopped crying. And I said, Allah, if you need to take him, take me. Take my whole life. if we would give him one more day of life.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
that's how much we needed. And so I just made up my mind. I said, I'm not going to believe that he's dead until 3 years come and go. If I don't see any sign in 3 years, then maybe I'll believe that he's dead. So in 3 years' time, to make a long story short, 1978, Minister Farrakhan did an interview in the New York Amsterdam News. I read the interview. He said he was rebuilding the nation. I said, that's my sign that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is alive. Now, did I mean that I believed he was physically alive? No.
Okay.
But I believe that the spirit of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was alive in Minister Farrakhan and in myself.
Okay.
And there were believers scattered all through Harlem Hospital at that time. And we were all in the dark. We were afraid even to say that we still believe in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, they were trying to recruit me to turn me into a Bilalian, make me into an Orthodox Muslim. And they failed. They couldn't turn me from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you go check at Harlem Hospital. What did they call me? They said, that's Elijah's doctor. That's Elijah's doctor. You can't talk to him. That's right. You can't talk to me about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You still can't talk to me the wrong way about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when someone wants to call me a hypocrite, say, when did I stop believing what that man taught? You answer me that. And then you tell me what superior teaching you got that overturns what he taught. And I don't think you have such an argument.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
So yes, I taught that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was alive, but not in a physical sense. I never taught that. No. I still teach that he's alive. Don't you see he's alive in me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Come on now.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I was talking to a brother this morning. He said when he looked, his mother passed away about 3 years ago. So we were talking about Mother's Day. He said now when he looks in the mirror, he sees his mother. Is she really gone? No, she lives in him.
Okay.
When he said that, I said the same thing with me. When I look in the mirror, when I look at my smile, I see my mother. So did she really pass away? Yes, in the physical sense. But is she still with us? You better believe it. Is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad still with us? You better believe it.
Praise be to Allah. Okay. Thank you. I know the comments are going up right now. Praise be to Allah. Okay, I have a question for you, Dr. Alim. So what about the reality of the mother plane, baby planes? Is that something you still teach and believe?
The reality of the mother plane and the baby planes. Well, the reality of, I have to believe what I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, how could I not believe it? I've seen it. I mean, I cannot say that I ever saw the mother plane, but I have seen baby planes. And also I've seen very good photographs. Brother Captain Mark out there in San Francisco, he took the best photograph of a baby plane. I've posted it many times. So how in the world am I not going to believe in what I've seen with my own eyes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the first time I saw the baby planes was my first year in medical school. And, you know, studying through the night, what I used to do to take a break, I used to go up on the roof of the dormitory building that I lived in. And one night I'm looking over the cityscape of Cleveland, Ohio. And just like that, a squadron of baby planes. They were kind of orangish in color, kind of shaped like clamshells. It was about 7 of them in close formation. And they went from horizon to horizon, you know, just like that. So fast, I was like, did I really see that? Did I really see that? And then, yeah, you really saw that. You really saw that. And then since that time, I mean, I was actually married to a woman. She told me, she said, I can call them. That's mashallah. Everybody knows mashallah on the East Coast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your mom knew through her.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So she said, come on, let's go out on the front porch. She used to do this on a regular after mosque on Sunday. Let's call the baby planes. I said, you got to call them, baby. I can't call nobody. And she would, and they would come. So again, it's not a belief. Do I believe? But again, like I say, I never saw the mother plane, but I believe it exists. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have the nerve to say what I'm saying if I didn't believe in the mother plane.
Yes, sir.
Don't you know I would be as scared as any other Negro in America if I didn't believe in the mother plane? If I didn't believe that actually I could stand up in America and tell the truth according to the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and have no fear whatsoever? Because the same God that said to him, the devil don't have a gun that can shoot you from across the street. I believe the same God wouldn't let the devil shoot me from across the street. I mean, I just have to believe that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Until proven wrong. Ain't nobody proved me wrong yet. They didn't prove the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrong yet.
Yes, sir.
So why should I not believe in what's protecting me? And also, where's my great hope? My great hope in the destruction of this wicked country. How else is it going to be destroyed? You see what America and Israel and NATO and all the rest of them is doing? Who's going to put a stop to that? The Bible asks the question, who's like unto the beast? Who can make war with the beast? Well, we know who can make war with the beast. So that's what I'm waiting for. Take them down, Allah. Take them down now before they do more evil. Take them down. Show your power, Allah. That's what we used to pray for. Now people, they don't pray too much. They just watch what the devil does, and they don't pray to Allah to stop him. They take the devil's persecution and oppression for the trials of Allah. See, we've used that term before we went on the air, misbelievers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, those are misbelievers. They believe in something, but what they believe in is incorrect. You know, and it gets them in trouble. They're not as bad as disbelievers, you know, but if you're going to be a believer, at least believe in the right thing.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Dr. Alim, the comments are, wow. Okay, man, I mean, just so many questions. Thank you. I see all your questions, y'all. Just know I see them. Thank you very much. So many questions.
Well, you might have a real big book, brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so one of the questions is, who do you believe is on the wheel?
Who do I believe is on the wheel? But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that there were that the pilots were described as these little brown people.
Okay.
Now I don't know any more than that. Now I did again. Now one of the encounters that I had, to go back to the other question.
Yes, sir.
This was maybe about 15 years ago. I was in a meeting with my business partner at my home where I used to live. And he got a phone call. So I took a break and went out on the deck. There was an eagle in the sky. I ran back in and got my camera to take a picture. I took a picture of the eagle.
Yes, sir.
Went back into the meeting. Later that day, when I looked at the picture, I got the eagle, but higher than the eagle, there was something else in the sky. And I couldn't make it out. You know, it was a spherical object in the sky.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now I don't want to spook anybody out, but I was really curious. So that night I did a meditation and I asked my spirit guide what that was. And so my spirit guide told me, he said, that's your protection. I said, what are you talking about? He said, that's your protection. I said, what do I need protection for? And he laughed. He just laughed. I said, and I asked that question. I said, well, who are they? And he said, well, they're your protectors. That's all he would say. He said, I said, well, can I meet them? And he said, let me check. And he did. And he came back and said, well, they said, no, not at this time. That wouldn't be permitted. I said, well, I'm flattered just to even know that they even know me.
Yes, sir.
He
Yes,
said,
sir.
oh, they like you. And then I said, well, what do I need protection from? And he said, in one word, he said, Obama. I said, Obama? He said, yeah. I said, Obama doesn't even know that I exist. He said, oh, yes, he does too. He watches everything that you do. And you need protection from him. I said, oh. So again, it's not a matter of that I know who's on there.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
again, communication is it.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
if you can be in communication, you see.
Yes, sir.
And then at certain times, certain things appear, so that you actually know. It's not a belief, because you wouldn't have enough nerve if it was just belief. Mere belief counts for nothing.
That's right. That's right.
You got to know.
That's right.
And then
Yes,
you said, let me just add on to that question, which wasn't a part of the question, but it's a part of the answer. Because it's all about protection. What do we need a mother plane for? What do we need baby planes for? We need it for protection. Now, the Quran also tells every believer you have protecting angels.
Yes, sir.
See, so a lot of us say we're Muslims, and we call other people hypocrites, but we don't even adhere to the 5 principles of belief. So after you say that you believe in Allah, then you have to believe in angels. So now, if to every believer is assigned an angel, and then there's hordes of angels, untold numbers of angels. That's what we observe the night of power during Ramadan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, that's the night when the angels descend, the angels that are in heaven.
Yes,
they
sir.
descend
Yes, sir.
to help you out, whatever you're struggling with. That's the night of power. You get the power of angels to help you. But a lot of believers, see, they don't understand that, and they don't call on the assistance of the legions of angels that are at their disposal. Almost literally at their beck and call. But now you have a personal angel as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it seems to me that if you understand prayer, that prayer takes you into a personal conversation with God that you say you believe in. So
Yes,
there
sir.
you
Yes,
are
sir.
on the prayer rug talking to God. So after you get through with the ritualistic part of the prayer, what do you have to say personally from your heart to God? See, that's prayer.
Yes, sir.
But now after you say your prayer to God and have that conversation, and God answers back so that you know what to do, don't you understand that the things that are about to happen are assisted by angels? Of course. If you believe. See, a lot of people don't believe. They say they believe, but they don't. Those are the real hypocrites.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They call other people hypocrites, but they don't believe in that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
I just
sir.
said. And then even though there's legions of angels that are for the assistance of humanity against the legions of devils and jinn.
Yes, sir.
See, a lot of these people, they say they're believers. They don't believe in the jinn. They don't believe in the devil. You see, so they don't know what to believe in. These are misbelievers and disbelievers. But now, how can you say, if you are a believer and you believe in Allah that you've never seen, unless you met Master Farrakhan Muhammad,
yes, sir.
how can you say you believe in angels that you've never seen, unless, like me, I was married to one? And how can you say that you believe in an angel that's your personal angel and you never had a conversation face to face with your own angel? I mean, just think about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People live their whole life and they never talk to the angel that is there to protect them. They never even acknowledge the presence. Now, let me tell you a little story. I know I'm talking long, but see, these are important things to consider.
Yes, sir.
Because, see, a lot of us are ignorant believers. We're believers, but we're ignorant of what we believe in. We believe in that which we know not what, just like the Bible says. And the Christians are guilty of that, but many Muslims are guilty of the same thing. They believe, but they don't know what they believe in because they don't have any concrete evidence, rational evidence to back up what they're saying or what they say they believe in. Even though there is rational evidence, even though there is scientific proof of everything that they do believe in.
Yes, sir.
but they're so lazy that they don't actually do any investigation on their own. They just take it like a slave. We hear and we obey. You obey. How can you obey what you don't understand? So anyhow, little story. I was with a friend of mine. She took me to this place where they were doing these kind of readings. You know, when these readers,
Yes,
we
sir.
won't
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
read you. And so I just went along for the ride. And then when she finished, she said, "Why don't you just? It was fun. Why don't you just go on and do it?" I don't want. Come on, it's fun. You might as well do it. You came all this way. So I said, "Okay, okay." So I went in the room, kind of dark room with candles and, you know, strange lighting and everything. This little guy hunched over behind a table with a crystal. He had a crystal ball, you
Yes, sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
And I took a seat, and he was looking down in the crystal ball, and I'm looking. This is a joke, you know. So he raised up from the crystal ball and looked at me, and then he almost fell off the chair. He fell back. His eyes got wide. He almost fell off the chair. And I'm like, look, this must be a nut. This guy must be a nut. I said, what's wrong with him? And then when he got himself together, he said, "Do you know that you have a big angel standing behind you?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You have a big angel standing behind you." He said he's huge. He said he must be 15 to 18 feet high. I said, "Really?" I'm looking, I don't see nothing. I said, "You can see things?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Yeah, I can see him." And then he calmed down. He said, let me see if I can communicate with him. I said, "Okay, okay." So he went into his thing, you know. So he said, "Well, I can't get nothing out of it. I can't get nothing out of it." He said, "Except 3 letters. 3 letters. S, a D, and an R." I said, "Oh, solder. That's his name. That's his name. His name is Solder." So I said, "Let's get on with this thing." You know?
Yes,
But that
sir.
was
Yes,
essentially
sir.
it. So now again, I never saw a thing. I never saw a thing. But he saw what he saw.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
his
sir.
reaction convinced me he was saying something.
Praise be to
So again,
Allah.
I walk around with that assurance. You see, I walk around with that assurance of God's protection. And it's not because I'm special or because I'm so good. I'm certainly not worthy of it. Obviously, I'm not worthy of it. But again, Allah is the beneficent and the merciful. Whether you're worthy
Yes,
of it
sir.
or not, you can still get it.
Yes, sir.
Because that's what kind of God he is. See, we got a good God.
Wow, beautiful. Yes, sir. And thank you all for your questions and comments. I see them all. Dr. Alim, I wanted to ask you, recently we spoke of, when I told you a few weeks ago, OJ Simpson passed, and he's one of my favorite running backs of all time. And I wanted to know the impact. I was comparing him, the trial being in 1994, the Maybe in March being in 1995, and everything leading up to that. And you told me you had a personal interaction with OJ Simpson. Could you let us know about that?
Okay. Well, yeah. Oh, it wasn't much. It wasn't much. It was actually the night before, if I'm remembering correctly, it was the night before the Million Man March here in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
And
sir.
we were at Reverend Long's church. The minister was there doing the Million Man March rally. And I think it was the day before the march, and big crowd. And who showed up but OJ Simpson backstage? And they brought
Yes,
him
sir.
out and
Yes, sir.
everybody, because the decision had, I think, just been handed that day
Okay.
that he was found innocent, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
And I had a chance to exchange a few words with him and shake his hand. And I can't say there was much to the conversation. You know,
Yes, sir.
he he was the great athlete, the running back that everybody remembers and reveres. You
Yes,
know, and
sir.
that's what we should remember him for. And I don't think anything else really is all that significant.
Wonderful. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. And thank you all very much for your comments. I wanted to ask you about, oh, here we go. This is a question that a lot of people have asked. What type of doctor are you, Dr. Alim?
Hopefully a good one. But well, I'm not so proud to call myself a doctor, because there's a whole bunch of doctors, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, how many doctors are there? There's like 300,000 doctors in America. I'm talking about medical doctors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then you got PhD doctors and JD doctors and all kinds of doctors. So just for somebody to be called a doctor, is not really much of a distinction.
Yes, sir.
So the kind of doctor that I hope that I have been, and see, that's the benefit of being old. I can actually see what kind of doctor I've been.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I have, and as a matter of fact, you don't have to rely on what I say. I got patients that can tell you what kind of doctor I've been.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But the thing that is a guiding principle, of course, is in the Quran. He who saves a life, it is as though he has saved the lives of all men.
Mm.
See, just as he who takes a life, it is as though he had taken the lives of all men. So I hope, and in fact, I know by Allah's grace and mercy, that somewhere along the line in my medical career, I have saved a life or two.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, I can even claim credit. I've saved my own life a time or two.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That if I did not have the knowledge that I have as a doctor, I probably would have died. I think I would have been about 30 years old if I had not known how to save myself by performing a Heimlichen maneuver on myself. Otherwise, they would have found me dead in bed the next morning.
Yes, sir. And thank you all for watching. But Dr. Alim, I mean, are you like a surgeon? Like what is the technical terms of, because people say doctor, but what type of, what your practice, like, your skill set?
I suddenly lost the sound here. Can you?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you. I don't know what just happened.
Okay, Dr. Alim, if you can leave and come back, I'll do the 60-second commercial break while you go ahead and come back.
Yeah, I mean, I can barely hear anything.
All right, thank you all for watching, and we're going to a quick 60-second commercial break. We're grateful for every like, share, and subscription to the People's Podcast. Thank you for every anonymous Cash App. Shout out to all of the mothers today. Today for all the Mother's Day. Shout out to my sisters, Mimi and Naima, for being the great moms that you are, and all of the moms all around the world. And we are live with the People's Podcast. Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Boom. And we are live with the People's. Boom. There we go. Thank you, everyone who was watching and tuned in to Dr. Alim. Today was a marathon. If you all didn't see it, we interviewed Minister Hop 4 hours ago. Then Minister Preston out of Los Angeles, now Las Vegas, then Iowa, where he's been a minister over a lot of places. Please go back and watch his interview with Minister Preston. Both of those interviews were great. Now we're here with Dr. Alim discussing many subjects. Things got real, man. We discussed a lot of things with Dr. Alim, and then now we're. If you all have any questions and comments, please put them in the chat so that we can understand your questions and your comments towards Dr. Alim. And thank you all very much for your positive feedback. And I hope everyone is enjoying Mother's Day. May I suggest going to see the new movie Planet of the Apes? I'm a big fan of that movie, and it was good. Saw it yesterday, and it was great. So if you all want to take your mom somewhere, or if you are moms, ask your children or somebody to take you to see the new Planet of the Apes, because it's very good. 1 second. Thank you all. We're waiting on Dr. Alim. Sister Emily, thank you all. Praise the Lord. Thank you for everyone. Sister Sandra, Sister Minister Aisha. Thank you everyone for your comments in the chat. Sister Anita, Sister Sandra, boom, boom. Our brother Adio Nasur. Thank you for everyone who's in the comment. I'm going back all the way back up. There is our brother, Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad. And he's telling us he's back. Boom. Man, today's Mother's Day.
Okay, I'm back.
Yes, sir. Good, good.
Okay, I don't remember where we were.
Yes, sir. I was asking you what type of specialty, what is your specialty? I don't know how to use the term.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. What kind of doctor am I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, when I was in medical school, I liked everything. And we were forced to make a choice of specialties. And I asked the question, well, what specialty is the broadest in scope? And they said general surgery. So that's why I studied general surgery at Harlem Hospital for about 6 years. So in one sense, if you say, what is my formal training? I'm trained as a general surgeon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now in 1980, just as I was finishing, I was chief resident at Harlem Hospital in 1980. And that's the same year Minister Farrakhan, as a matter of fact, May the 18th, 1980 is when he came to New York at City College.
Yes,
I
sir.
played
Yes,
hooky
sir.
from the hospital that day and attended the rally that Minister Farrakhan was holding and shook hands with him after the lecture was over and joined up with him, you could say. So once I finished my residency in surgery, that was also about the time that the minister asked me to help him in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
I was
sir.
already
Yes,
helping Minister Linward, who became Abdul Karim on the East
yes,
Coast.
sir.
So I became the minister in Washington, D.C. in 1981. I was sworn in by Minister Farrakhan in 1982 at All Souls Church. But in order to be a minister, you can't be a surgeon. Surgeons don't have a regular schedule.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
gunshot wounds, stabbings, all kinds of emergencies happen all hours of the day and night. So what I did, I switched specialties. When I came to Washington, D.C., I switched specialties. I became an emergency room physician. And I worked at the Washington Hospital Center, Howard University. And then in 1986, I decided that there was no future, in that kind of medicine. You weren't really getting people better with surgery. You weren't really getting people better with what goes on in emergency rooms. And so that was the start of Abundant Life Clinic in 1986. And Abundant Life Clinic was started as an alternative therapy clinic where we were combining yoga therapy with alternative therapy. And alternative therapy later on became better known as nutritional therapy. So my partner was Dr. Fujendra Sinha. He was the president of the All India Yoga Society. He's the author of many books. You can look him up on Amazon. Dr. Sinha, Fujendra Sinha, yoga therapy for common disorders. Well, we were partners, and that was the beginning of Abundant Life Clinic. And over the years, again, practice makes perfect. I found out what works and what doesn't work. So somewhere along the line, I developed this idea that the problem in the healing arts, not just in medicine, but chiropractic, massage therapy, touch therapy, herbology, it doesn't make any difference what the so-called healer calls himself or herself. What they almost always end up being are advocates, narrow-minded advocates. So as a surgeon, I was trained to be a narrow-minded advocate. That every problem was a surgical problem. You need to cut it out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then the average internist is an advocate of medications and vaccines. You know, the chiropractor claims he can cure everything just by twisting your back. And the herbologist claims I can cure everything with a plant. And what I found out over the years is that's not true. Every disease is not a surgical disease. Every disease cannot be handled by chiropractic. Everything can't be handled by herbs. And so if you ask me what kind of doctor I am, I'm a non-advocate.
Okay.
I'm a non-advocate. I'm an advocate of what works. That's what I'm an advocate of. I'm an advocate of what works.
Yes, sir.
If
Yes, sir.
surgery is what you need and it's what works in that situation, I'm going to recommend surgery. If you need to take some pill and the pill actually works and gets you better, I'm going to tell you, take the pill.
Yes, sir.
If eating a certain diet is going to make you better and it actually works, it's effective, it's not just a gimmick, I'm going to tell you, hey, eat that diet, follow how to eat to live, it works.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If this herbal tea actually makes people better, I'm going to tell you to take it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But what I found out is that health is highly individualistic. So you see, the reason most people look bad in the society, if you look at people, they look bad. They look bad.
Yes, sir.
See, they look bad because they're in bad health, physically and mentally. And I even look at the way people dress nowadays. They look bad.
Yes,
They look poorly dressed, wearing peasant clothes because they're impoverished. They're impoverished in mind and spirit. You see, so what you have to do is you have to elevate the expectations of people. And the best way to elevate the expectations of people so they want to look better and feel better and be better and do better.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So you have to be the example. So what kind of doctor am I? In one sense, I'm the kind of doctor that advocates you ought to adopt some of my living habits.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you actually ought to do what I do. I mean, again, I'm not trying to say I have a perfect lifestyle, but I'm just saying I've been practicing how to eat to live for 50 years. I know a little something about it.
Yes, sir.
I know my way around in the kitchen. I know how to cook a real good, nutritious meal. I know my way around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, I know my way around in the gym. You see, I know a whole lot of things. So when it's time for a homeopathic, I know which one to reach for. When it's time to reach for an herb, I know which one to reach for.
Yes, sir.
When it's time for a nutritional supplement, I know which one to reach for.
Yes, sir.
And the reason I know which one to reach for in all of those areas, and I don't care what they're called. See, some people have called me a hypocritical doctor. Why? Because they came to me expecting that I was going to be one of these narrow, radical advocates. Now, a good example, this happened many times. Poor sister come in with breast cancer, and she heard I was an alternative therapy doctor. She wants to know what's your alternative for breast cancer. So once I do my examination, she almost falls on the floor because the first thing on my list is, hey, you need surgery. I thought you were an alternative doctor. No, I'm a kind of doctor that knows how to cure people. I know how to save your life. I'm not here to please you and to go along with some gimmick. And I'll give you a treatment program that will save your life.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what kind of doctor I am. I'm the kind of doctor that likes to win.
Yes, sir.
I like to win. I don't like to preside over a practice full of sick people on their way to death. Matter of fact, if you're going to be that kind of patient, you couldn't be in my practice. I get rid of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's wrong with you that you're not getting better? You must not be doing what I say. And if you're not doing what I say, then you're not honest enough to be a patient of mine. See, because I'm telling you the truth.
Yes, sir.
See, let me end on. See, I could talk all night on this.
Yes, sir.
But see, here's the essence of it. See, when I went to medical school, I did everything that you're supposed to do, graduated Didn't quite get honors, but I graduated high up. I was chief resident in surgeries. I was on top.
Yes, sir.
Same in all the other fields, on top. But I didn't know how to make a diagnosis. After all that training, after all that education, all I really knew how to do was cut things out and chase symptoms and cover them up. And I didn't know how to make a diagnosis, which means I did not know how to get anybody better. Oh, every now and then I got lucky like every doctor. And the patient gets better on their own. But there was a kind of a unintended experiment one time in England where the doctors went on strike and all the patients got better. So it shows that a lot of the health problems that people have are caused by doctors. And the reason that doctors cause so many problems and side effects, we could say, complications and even deaths, is because they don't know how to make a diagnosis.
Yes, sir.
So once I learned how to make a diagnosis, you see, a proper diagnosis can lead to proper treatment. Now, the art of making a diagnosis is complicated, but the reason why it's an advantage for me to be a non-advocate is because, like, there's a saying among doctors, they say, the diagnosis that you make is the diagnosis that you think about. The diagnosis that you make is the diagnosis that you think about, or the diagnosis that you can think about. So if somebody comes in with a heart problem, how many things can you think of that could be wrong with that heart? If you're a poorly educated, narrow advocate, yeah, you know about 2 or 3 things that could go wrong with the heart.
Yes, sir.
But if you're a heart expert, it's 10,000 things that could be there. See, so that's the advantage of being broadly trained,
yes,
broadly educated. So when I'm looking at a patient, I'm thinking about 10,000 things that this could be. Not 5, not 10, 10,000.
Yes, sir.
And since I take into consideration 10,000 things, then I can make a proper diagnosis. And proper diagnosis leads to proper treatment. Especially when I know 10,000 different things to choose from to pick the proper thing that is exactly right. And really it's going to be the combination of things. There might be an herb involved. There's going to be nutritional supplements involved. There might even be surgery involved.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There might be whatever it takes. Why? Because I like to win. I like to win. I like the patient to get better. I like the patient that was sick to come see me after a period of time being on a proper program, come to see me, and I can tell the patient, you don't need to come see me no more. Unless something goes wrong, but you're good. See? And that's the opposite of what goes on in the standard medical system. They keep you sick.
Yes, sir.
Keep you coming back. Well, what kind of doctor is that the patient never gets better? Doc, how long do I have to take this medication? Forever? You might get better, but you'll never get well. See, so the new paradigm in medicine is to get people well. They already come to you with life. They might be barely hanging on, but at least they have life. That's the blessing of God.
Yes, sir.
But it's the duty of the physician, the doctor, the healer, to then extend that life, make it life more abundantly, just like the Bible says. And if you can't do that, then what kind of doctor are you? So anyhow, like I say, I want to, on the Confronting Radio Network, we want to do a medical program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, what subject is bigger and better and more relevant to people than medicine, healing,
yes,
those
sir,
kinds
yes,
of topics. So it deserves its own show. We're gonna inshallah, we're gonna do that on Confronting Radio.
Excellent. Yes, sir. We look forward to tuning in. My brother-in-law Akeem says Dr. Sanaa, when you were saying him, I'm assuming he knows who he is. speaking of it, his wife, my sister Miriam, told me a story that I told you, but I wanted to make sure that we had that on air, where because she was considered, I don't know the medical term, but basically bow leg, when she was very young, her and my parents took her to the doctor, and they were trying to break her legs, some type of procedure to break her legs. And then my parents said, asked Dr. Alim said, well, you don't do that. My dad took her out of the doctor's office, stormed out after saying a few choice words to the doctor for recommending to break the leg. And then my sister Miriam is still walking, and the rest is history. So we wanted to thank you on behalf of myself and my family for your great, advice on that. So we should let people know Dr. Alim really know what he's talking about. So praise be to Allah. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's my honor, sir. I wanted to ask you about Mother Tynetta. I think her birthday was yesterday or today.
Her day
today.
is, I think her birthday is today, the 12th.
It's today. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Farrakhan is the 11th.
Yes, sir.
And Mother Tynetta is the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
On Mother's Day too. How about
Mother's
that?
Day. Yes, sir. What is your favorite memory with working with her, sir?
Oh my goodness! I think my favorite memory is the first time I ever met her. I mean, I could pick a number. I mean, anytime you had a chance to be with Mother Tynetta was always an elevated treat. I mean, she always took me to an elevated place.
Yes, sir. Yes,
she was
sir.
a very special person. See, some people are just special.
Yes, sir.
I mean, she wasn't trying to be special. She was just special.
Yes, sir.
She was just made that way by Allah. And see, people like her, they're just such a valuable asset because they see things and understand things that other people don't necessarily see and understand.
Yes, sir.
And then they're given the gift of articulation. Just look at her voice. See, if you think about Mother Tynetta, the most startling thing is just her voice, which was like a crystal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like a little crystal bell. It was almost like a singing, like a singing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it was coming from an elevated place. So the first time I ever laid eyes on Mother Tynetta was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 1980. At the latest, it was 81. It was in Chicago. And it was the first national laborers meeting that Minister Farrakhan held in the rebuilding of the nation. And it was really the first time. See, the minister, that's where he earned the title from Brother Jabril, Farrakhan the Traveler. Because on one day he'd be in New York, the next day he's in Los Angeles, the next day he's in Houston, next day he's back in Chicago, then he's in Detroit, then he's in Atlanta, then he's in Miami, then he's in Washington. I mean, he was doing that, constantly.
Yes, sir.
And so he was building the nation, in all of these different isolated places. But, like I was in Washington, but I didn't know who was in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't know anybody in Texas. I didn't know anybody in Chicago. I didn't know anybody on the West Coast. So this was the first national laborers meeting where, in a sense, the minister was harvesting in his laborers that he had been working for a couple of years now. And so he had somebody in Atlanta. He had somebody in Detroit. He had somebody in Philadelphia. He had somebody in all these places. And then we all came together for the first laborers meeting. And I remember, I can't remember the specific words of the introduction, but Mother Tynetta was being introduced. And we were in an auditorium, and it was kind of had a slanted floor going down to the stage.
Yes, sir.
And she came in from the rear, dressed all in white. And the way she came in, it was like she was floating.
Yes, sir.
I know she was walking. I know she was walking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
There's no
sir.
way in the world she was doing anything but walking.
Yes, sir.
But the way she was moving and the way she flowed, she flowed in there almost. I mean, I know this sounds spooky. I don't want to sound spooky. But she dressed in this white, flowing headpiece, and she got the Kawan, and it's like she's floating in on air.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like a spirit floating down the aisle and onto the stage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then she takes the stage and she gives the greeting with that wonderful, sparkling voice.
Yes, sir.
And it's like you're looking at somebody and you say, that has got to be an angel. And I didn't know who she was at the time. Then later on, that's the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Oh, that's why. That's why. That's why. This is a very special person, you see. And then down through the years, getting to know her, here and there from time to time, in different settings on the World Friendship Tour,
Yes, sir.
in the desert in Arizona and different places, because she was quite a traveler herself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was I would say like they say, the first impressions are lasting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When she floated in that room, blew me away.
Praise be to Allah. Now, speaking of sisters, we spoke when you were telling me about some of the skill set that was in the mosque in Washington, D.C., and you said there was a sister who dealt with satellites and engineering. Could you let us know about that?
Oh, well, yes. Actually, the sister's name was Yvonne, Sister Yvonne.
Sister Yvonne. Okay.
And see, I always valued, well, let me put it this way. I'll go back to the beginning of a certain way of looking at things.
Yes, sir.
When I was in medical school, I was invited to give a lecture to a high school class on career day. You know how they do that.
Yes, sir.
And so I asked Minister Hamza what I should say to these high school students. So he said, well, I'll ask the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So then he got back to me. He said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to remind you, he wasn't going to tell me what to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But he said to remind you that an educated person is one who makes a contribution among people. And that was it. So then that was the basis of what I said that day to those high school students, that your obligation as young people coming up is to educate yourself and prepare yourself so that you are in a position in one way or another to make a contribution among your people and not be a burden. So, kind of forgot the question, but
yes, no, Sister Yvette, the satellite.
So basically, as a minister over a mosque, see, I'm not just looking at nameless faces
in
the audience. Yes, that's not the lumpen proletariat. Those are individual people. So I had a practice that after the acceptance was over and the meeting was dismissed, see, I would meet with the lost founds who had just accepted. And then I also had a practice that I always made an appearance in the processing class. And a lot of times I taught the processing class because I looked at it this way: they're my fish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I converted them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then I found out that some of the other laborers didn't know how to treat these fish that I had worked so hard. Then you used to see how hard I used to sweat. My suit used to be soaking wet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm doing all this hard work, and then some ignorant laborer, well-meaning,
yes, sir,
but not knowing the proper handling of people, like your dad always emphasized. Don't know how to handle people.
Yes, sir.
And they mess up my good work. So I had to make it my business to show up at orientation class to make sure that everything was straight. Then, when the brother and the sisters on the sister side, when they graduated, they got their X. then we had a minister's dinner. So every month, once a month, everybody that had gotten their ex, they were invited to a personal dinner with me.
Go ahead, Dr. Alim.
And that's when I got to know them on a personal level. In other words, the lost found with the dusty face and,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
wherever they were coming from, but they accepted their own, went through the process, got their ex. Now they need to sit down at the dinner table with their minister. And they may have personal concerns. They may have personal questions. They want to get to know me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But to see somebody on the rostrum way in the distance, hey, that's distant.
Yes, sir.
That's not up close and personal. And then you're surrounded by security. They gritting at the people, so they might not even think you're a friendly person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They don't even think you are a person. They look at you as a figurehead. But then when you sit down at the table and you break bread with people, you see, and you just have normal conversations across the dinner table, see, then these lost founds actually become your friends. And you become their friend. You see, and then they feel comfortable in your presence. And they can look past the harsh faces of the security that surrounds you at times, because they know, oh, that's Minister Alim. I can talk to him anytime. And then on Mondays, see, I used to have a special slot of time at the mosque. Any believer can come to me at any time. You don't need no appointment. I'm your minister.
Yes, sir.
I'm at your disposal.
Go ahead then.
Yeah, see, so that's how that's done. So then, keeping up with the minister, what is the minister trying to do? So look at this, Brother Joshua. Today's Mother's Day, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So on Mother's Day, I forget what year, maybe 1983, 1984, the minister had a Mother's Day celebration, a Mother's Day celebration. And guess what? It was a satellite broadcast. And guess what? We had just registered a sister in the mosque who I got to know over the dinner, that she was actually employed at the White House as a satellite engineer. She was the one that was setting up all the satellite broadcasts coming out of the White House. And here's Minister Farrakhan talking about we want to do a satellite broadcast for Mother's Day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's all I did. I just introduced Sister Yvonne to Minister Farrakhan. Here's your satellite engineer. And of course, that was a common practice. See, look at Dr. Ridgely. He's the nation's farmer, right?
Correct.
Well, Dr. Ridgely was standing security at the airport one time when the minister came into town. Just a nondescript. You understand what I'm saying? Just a nondescript, ordinary looking brother.
Yes, sir.
And here he is, a PhD in agricultural economics. And somebody got him marching around, like he don't know nothing about nothing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I took advantage of my position as a minister to say to Minister Farrakhan, here's an agricultural doctor. He's an agricultural economist. This man knows how to run a farm. Don't you have a farm? So again, all the people, see that's the job of the ministers and the captains and all the laborers in these different fields.
Yes, sir.
You have all these talented people. And you see the need of the nation. You see what the minister's trying to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you got all these qualified people. Why don't you send them to Chicago? Go wherever they need to be. I mean, one of the things I'm proud to say, and it's not boasting, but the truth of it is, half the laborers that were in Chicago came from Washington, D.C.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why? Because I trained them to be laborers. I wasn't afraid to train them. I wanted to train them as best I could. And then when they were qualified, hey, the minister recognized qualification. So he said
Yes,
to your
sir.
father, hey, you're a good captain in Washington, D.C. Why don't you come on up here and be the supreme captain? That's the way it's supposed to be. It's like an escalator.
Yes, sir.
So anyhow, these are good questions. And
Praise be to Allah. Okay, so I didn't know. I thought that was hypothetical. You saying you really did tell Dr. Ridgely, introduce Dr. Ridgely to the minister. That was beautiful. I never heard that story before.
well, again, it's just a natural thing. I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
even think about it till just now, but
Yes,
that's what
sir.
happened.
Beautiful.
I
And
mean,
people
we
are
have
very,
all these illustrious people. Look, the nation of Islam, because we have such a beautiful teaching, we actually do attract the best people. I mean, we have the smartest people in the whole society, but sometimes we act like we're the dumbest. Or I'll say we treat one another.
Yes, sir.
We'll say that we don't know nothing. We don't know our history. We don't know our name. But wait a minute, you got a PhD in what?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it is true. Maybe you do have some catching up to do in certain areas, but we shouldn't walk around like we're a bunch of dummies.
That's right. That's right.
We're not a bunch of dummies. But see, a lot of times we don't understand. I guess what they would call it, human resources
Yes,
and
sir.
personnel development and that kind of thing. For example, there's a sister down in Houston. This sister is she was a top flight, or maybe still is a top flight auditor. Not more than just an accountant. She's an auditor for a Fortune 500 company in Houston, Texas.
Yes,
She's
sir. Yes,
keeping the
sir.
books for a Fortune 500 company. She's auditing their books.
Yes, sir.
And she was a laborer in the mosque, but she was the protocol director. I'm saying, now what are you doing being the protocol director and you're the auditor for a Fortune 500 company? Sounds to me like you need to be the national secretary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
need to be some kind of executive. You're running a Fortune 500 company, and the only thing you can do is pick out the seating placement at the dinner table as the protocol director. See, again, so you have a person. I mean, I don't know what her salary was, but you can imagine if you were the auditor for a Fortune 500. I mean, you're probably making a pretty good penny,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then, so we take this, $500,000 a year person and employ her like she's a $12 cashier.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, that's just misunderstanding the value of people. What is our greatest resource if it's not us, our own people, our own self?
Yes, sir.
And so you have to understand the value of yourself. Have to know how to calculate the value of yourself and others. I mean, what else does the knowledge of self entail except understanding the value of yourself and not short selling yourself? And a lot of times we do that. We short sell ourselves physically. We don't take care of our physical body.
Yes, sir.
We don't develop our mind. We don't develop our spirit. Just simple things. I'm just thinking about simple things, not complicated things. Just simple things. How in the world could you be how could you be a Muslim for 20 years and you can't speak Arabic? You can't recite the Quran. No part of it. I mean, I can understand when you first come in, I don't speak Arabic. Okay, but what about 20 years later? How long does it actually take to learn the language? See, it's the simple things. Like we hear things, Islam is mathematics, and mathematics is Islam. Well, how much mathematics did you learn last year?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you know
yes,
algebra? Do you know trigonometry?
Yes, sir.
Do you actually know calculus? Do you know differential equations?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see, again, we say, well, we're Muslims and we believe in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he taught us that Islam is mathematics, but we never pick up a mathematics book. We never take a mathematics course. We never earn a mathematics degree. And when one or two of us, like the great Dr. Abdul Alim Shabazz, PhD in mathematics. Yeah, we point to him like a legend. How come he wasn't an example?
Mm.
And we have brother, what, Shahid in Chicago, the math doctor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who else?
Mm.
They the only ones among all these people? Where's our astrophysicist to tell us when Ramadan starts, because we have our own telescope looking at the moon?
Yes, sir.
We get the message from Saudi Arabia when they saw the moon, they claim. What's
Mm.
wrong with us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, so what I'm saying is, in a kind of a roundabout way, is, see, we have to actually get serious about what we were taught. See, we don't actually take it seriously. Apparently, some of us, most of us, we don't take it seriously. We hear it, and we say that we hear and obey, but you cannot obey if you don't understand what you just heard.
Yes, sir.
And just because you say that you understand doesn't mean that you understand. The only way that you prove that you understand is by the results that you get. And as my business partner, Brother Michael, used to say, your results are public. You
Yes,
can't
sir.
hide your results.
Yes,
You can
sir.
say anything you want. But in the end, people are going to look at your results. You see, and so that's what we have to pay attention to. And now I was conscious of, as a minister in Washington, D.C., I was conscious of what the Christian preachers were doing. I was conscious of what the NAACP was doing.
Yes,
I
sir.
was
Yes.
conscious of what was going on the college campuses and in the prisons and in the neighborhoods. You see, because I understand I'm in competition with the gangs.
Yes, sir.
I'm in competition with the church. I'm in competition with the college. So if I want a college student to join the mosque, I got to prove that I'm smarter than the college professor. I got to prove to the Christian, I got more spiritual power than the Christian minister. I got
Yes,
more
sir.
insight. And then, of course, even in other areas of life, how are you going to attract people who are prosperous, who are in business, and you as poor as Job's turkey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here's a businessman. He loves the teaching. Here's a sister. She's in a professional occupation. She loved the teaching. She want to be with you, but she ain't going into no chicken shack mosque.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's a trustee in a $10 million church. He gets a respect in a mega church somewhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's on the board of directors of national corporations and national organizations.
Yes, sir.
And then you invite somebody to come sit down and have a seat and shut up and don't say nothing. So, well, you're never going to grow like that. So you have to be big enough that you can accept all of those that Allah sends your way, so that you don't have to turn anybody away.
Yes, sir.
See, let me end on this. Look, before my power source goes out here. See,
Yes, sir.
look at the Bible talks about the kingdom of God being compared to a mustard seed.
Yes, sir.
And the mustard seed is the smallest thing. You can't hardly see it. Go buy a jar of mustard seeds at the supermarket. Because most people have never done that. They read that story. They never even go look at a mustard seed. See how small it really is.
Yes, sir.
But go get you a mustard seed. Look how small that is. Then according to the Bible, the mustard seed grows to be the biggest herb in the garden.
Yes, sir.
And it's compared to the kingdom of God because every bird found a resting place in the branches of that tree.
Yes, sir.
See, so in order for us to build the kingdom of God, which is what the Nation of Islam's mission is,
That's right.
then we have to be like that mustard seed. We start small, but then we grow into the biggest herb in the garden that has so many branches that there's no such thing as a bird not finding a resting place. See, we have 4 laborers. Well, that's not many. What kind of tree only has 4 branches? Come on now. How much
Yes, sir.
fruit you gonna get off a tree with 4 branches?
Yes, sir.
You're not gonna get much fruit. 4 branches, that's a joke. How many branches are supposed to be on a tree? Come on now.
Yes, sir.
More than 4.
That's right. Yes, sir.
There's more than 4. If I tell you that, it's more than 4.
Yes, sir.
And the more branches you have, that's how much fruit you're going to get.
Mm.
So how many fruit of Islam do we want?
Mm.
There's a handful, a basketful. How many fruit of Islam do we want?
Mm.
Well, it depends on how big a tree you have, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
You're just going to get a little bit of fruit from a little tree.
That's right.
How
That's
you going
right.
to get a lot of fruit from a little tree
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
with 4 branches? Everybody going to starve to death. You can't get enough fruit from 4-branch tree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got to have a big tree with a whole bunch of branches so every bird, and that's just a metaphor. In other words, you have to have a branch for a satellite engineer. You have to have a branch for a doctor. You have to have a branch for an accountant. You have to have a branch for a machine operator, a truck driver, a plumber, an electrician. You know, every profession.
Yes, sir.
Everybody that you need. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we need everything in the building of a nation.
That's right.
So how many branches do you have to have so that you have everything that you need as a nation to survive? So when we're small and narrow-minded, you see, we only want to have 4 branches on the tree and, you know, and a very poor harvest.
Mm. Mm.
And I say that's not what it's all about. You have to have a bigger vision than that.
Yes, sir. Well, you teach it, Dr. Alim, praise be to Allah, and people are bear witness and teach, tell it, that's right. You know, I can't wait to put this on YouTube because more people will be like, that's right, you preach it, yes, sir. Okay, I wanted to speak. Earlier you mentioned how in DC, a lot of the laborers were going national. Well, you were one of those laborers as well that eventually went from DC to becoming national as well. How did that come about, sir?
Excuse me. Well, I don't know. You would have to ask Minister Farrakhan. I didn't appoint myself to anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when he decided to not have me there anymore, that's what happened. So don't ask me. You know, I just, like I said at the start of the program, I always did the best I could in anything I ever tried.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I guess if, you know, at one point, Mosque number 4 in Washington, D.C., back in the 80s and early 90s, the minister referred to us as the star of the nation. And we were the star of the nation because we worked hard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I usually return the greeting. Someone says, Assalamu alaikum. I say, Wa alaikum salam. Working hard in the name of Allah.
Yes, sir.
Trying to make my word my bond.
Yes, sir.
And so that's what we had in Washington, D.C. See, I had an attitude as a minister. I had a very definite attitude about things. I never asked people to do something that I didn't do or
yes,
wouldn't
sir.
do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I remember the first time we got I don't know how many papers it was, 5,000 papers. I'm the new minister in town.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So my attitude was, and always was, these papers here, these 5,000 papers, those are my papers. I'll sell them all if I have to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're going to get sold. And I'll sell them all. And I'll be the first one to sell them. So then when the brothers saw that even though, here, I'm supposed to be this sophisticated doctor from New York, but I'm down there on Benning Road selling papers with the brothers.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
In other words, because I'm going to do, even if you don't do it, if we have a call out and nobody shows up, I'm going to show up.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to do it. And it's going to get done. And because I had that attitude, guess what? We never had a call out where nobody showed up. They always showed up. And more that I tried to do to show the brothers and really the believers that I'm willing to do everything. The less I had to do. More and more they used to tell, oh, we got this, brother Mills. We got this. We got this. I was trying to jump down in the middle of the dope busters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, brother, we got this. We got this. Go and study for your next lecture.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
So again, it's just the attitude that you bring to things. See, it's not somebody else's responsibility to get things done.
Yes, sir.
It's not somebody else's responsibility to make things go right. I was corrected by a wise friend of mine because I used to get frustrated sometimes with the believers. You know, I used to ask the question, how comes things take longer than they do? It don't take that long to do this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would get frustrated. And then a friend of mine, he said, come on now. He said, look, if you want people to do better, it doesn't help to get mad at them. If you want people to do better, you have to teach them better. That's on you. So once I realized that the problems in the mosque and the confusion, you know, and the lack of coordination, communication, especially, that were hampering progress, all those kinds of problems, that was my responsibility. That was my fault. And so if I wanted better laborers, it wasn't a matter of busting somebody and getting rid of them.
Yes, sir.
It's a matter of sitting down with them and talking to them on a regular basis.
Yes,
so
sir.
you get
Yes,
to
sir.
know them and they get to know you. So when a minister really knows his captain, knows his sister captain,
Yes, sir.
really knows his secretaries and the other laborers, and then I didn't leave it at that. See, we would have laborers meeting once a week. And here's what I used to do. This was something that the ministers could always do. So you have a program. You're the leader of the mosque. You have a program. You have a vision. You're aiming at something. You're trying to get a new building. You're trying to fix the kitchen. You're trying to repair the roof. You know,
Yes, sir.
the things that go on.
Yes, sir.
So then you make that the basis of your lecture on a Sunday. So you got a mosque full of people. So you impart the vision to the whole mosque.
Yes, sir.
We have a new building. We're trying to fix the roof. We're trying to, you know, whatever it is, get a school bus for the children, whatever it is.
Yes,
you got
yes,
a goal. Now you got a game. You see, every
Yes,
game
sir.
has a goal.
That's right.
And the object of any game is what? To score the goal.
That's right.
But in order to score the goal, what do you need? Well, you need a strategy, you need a plan, but you also have to have teamwork to carry out the plan. Well, who's the team? What's the team? See, a lot of times, you could have a superstar minister, he thinks he's the team. You have a superstar captain, he thinks he's the team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just like on a sports team. You got a superstar, he thinks he's the whole team. They always lose, don't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because that's a lie. You're not the team. You're just a superstar on the team. And you have a role to play along with everybody else. But how do you get everybody else to work together? Well, that's why you announce the vision to the entire mosque. So everybody, lottie-dottie, and everybody knows
Yes, sir.
what's going on. Then you have your laborers meeting, your major laborers. And then you get into the details of the operational plan of how to reach the goal. But now here's what you did at the end of the meeting on Sunday. After the whole mosque has heard the vision, then you ask, how many of you would like to volunteer to participate in this project? And if you are interested in it, we're going to have a staff meeting. It's not a laborers meeting.
Yes, sir.
It's a staff meeting to which the laborers are invited. So now the whole mosque heard from A to Z everything that you said. The ones that volunteered to come to the staff meeting, those are the ones that got excited about what you said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, your four laborers, or the four laborers, they may be hot or cold towards what you said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because they're doing their thing. You might have said something that makes extra work for the captain. The secretary is saying, I already got too much to do. Now you talking about something else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what are they going to do? They're going to drag their feet because they think it's too much, or it's too fast, or they don't like it anyhow, or they got something else in mind. So when the captain goes to the FOI class, he only tells the brothers the part that he likes.
Yes.
The sister the same way. She only tells the sister the part she likes, the part that she agrees with. The other part she leaves out. But guess what? The whole mosque heard everything.
Yes, sir.
So they know the part that she left out. So they raise their hand. What about the part you left out?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I heard the minister say.
Beautiful.
You see, so that's how you line everybody up, even with what they disagree with. You see, because everybody don't agree with everything.
Yes, sir.
How could you expect everybody to agree with everything?
That's right.
But it's not about that. I mean, when the coach tells you got to run the lap, that ain't because you agree with it. It's because you need to do that to get in shape for the competition.
That's right.
And then when you win, then you're not even worried about that extra lap you had to run. You see? So in other words, you're overcoming, it's not even opposition. See, the things I'm talking about, this is not real opposition. This is not somebody being hypocritical, trying to block progress. It's just the normal, you could call it inertia. The normal, way people get along or don't get along. And there's an art. It's almost like the science of chemistry.
Yes, sir.
How do you get these different substances to interact in a proper way so you end up with something useful?
Beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. People showing you love all around the world. Minister Shaheed says practical application, good teaching. The teacher, Brother Mandine, says enjoying the interview from Chicago. Thank you, Brother Mandine. Dr. Alim is amazing. Thank you very much. Everybody all your comments, thank you very much. All praises to Allah. Beautiful teaching. Wonderful. Well, I wanted to let everyone know, I wanted you to let everyone know, speaking of running laps, when I got a chance to FaceTime you before we went live, I saw you with a shirt on. You just accomplished something great dealing with your running. Can you let us know about that?
Okay, thank you for asking. Yeah, the pen relays. Now, see this?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you look on the back, this was the silver medal I won when I was 15 years old at the pen relays and the mile relay.
Yes, sir.
I ran the anchor leg in 47 seconds flat.
Go ahead.
Very good at the time. I think they do better than that now with his brother Quincy Wilson.
Yes, sir.
He's 15 years old running 44s, but I ran a 47, and so I got the silver in 1964 when I was 15 years old. And now look at this one. I looked at this the other week when I was 75. So now I ran in the what they call the Masters 100 meter dash. I was fifth. I didn't win. I was fifth. I didn't even think they gave medals out for a fifth place, but I actually walked away. And about a week later, somebody's knocking on my door. We got your medals. So there it is. So after 60 years, I made my return back to the pen relays. So I wasn't really in shape. I'm not making excuses, but I didn't have much time to get in shape. So I'm looking forward to next year, and I'll try to really do the best I can.
Exactly. When you said you're 75?
Yes, sir. I'm 75. Almost 76. I'll be 76 in August.
All praises to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, on that positive note, first of all, thank you everyone who's watching. On behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank Allah for you, Dr. Alim, all of the work that you continue to do, your great history. You inspire people all around the world, but I'm making it personal. You inspire me.
Thank you.
I pray that when I'm 75, going on 76, inshallah, that I'm running relays, living life, life is good, and that I can reflect.
Well, my wife, mashallah.
Yes, sir.
Every day when we would go out the door, she would turn to me before we opened the door. She would put her finger in my face and she would say, "Remember, honey, we have to be good examples." And then she would open the door and we would go. So That's all it's about. Just be a good example.
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to be a good example of how to eat to live. See, there's a whole lot of people who preach how to eat to live. We sell books called How to Eat to Live, but the book is not the example.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The preaching and the teaching is not the example.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You and me, we have to be the living examples of what this teaching actually means. See, so when I'm standing on the track at 75, I'm not standing there for myself alone. Yeah, I'm there for the personal glory that I hope to win.
Yes, sir.
But I know who I am. See, I'm a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is how to eat to live, standing on the track. See, and I'm upset with myself because I'm supposed to win. I wasn't supposed to come in fifth. I'm
Yes,
supposed to
sir.
win.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I got to come back next year. Because something wasn't right. Something wasn't right this year. I got to come back next year and get it right.
Yes, sir. Okay, one more question, Dr. Alim, because you keep mentioning, first of all, people bear witness. Thank you, Naima. Thank you, Brother Mandine. Brother Mandine said, how can we support the People's Podcast? You have great guests going. Oh, thank you, Brother Mandine. You can cash out the People's Podcast. Thank you very much, Brother Mandine, for talking about supporting me. I appreciate that. My sister Naima says, all praise to Allah, 75 years. Sister Sandra Eden, I don't know, Eatonson. Sister Sandra Eaton is showing love. And thank you, people who were showing love the whole time. And then Brother Mandine says, how to eat to live is the key. Dr. Alim, I pray. I've never been in love like where I smile from ear to ear or just have that joy. We like my wife, Sister Mashallah, and my wife, Sister Mashallah. What is it about? How did you know she was the one?
Well, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny. And it's a long story. As a matter of fact, I had told her before she passed away that she was such a magnificent person and that our relationship was so special that if allowed me to, I was going to write an opera. Now, I don't know enough about music or composition or anything like that, but I got to learn it. I can learn it. That's why you need to live a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So one of these days, inshallah, I'm going to compose an opera called Mashallah. Because that's how big she was. That's how important she is.
Yes, sir.
So now your question was, how did I know that she was the one?
Yes, sir.
Well, see, I'm so dumb, I didn't know she was the one. I didn't. Now, it's kind of funny, and I'll just touch on certain points because it's a long story.
Yes, sir.
I first met her in 1982 when I first came to Washington, D.C., and she was married, and I was married. She was married to my captain. But I'll tell you the truth, and it's nothing but the truth. The first time I laid eyes on her, I was in love with her. Now, she's another man's wife, and I'm married. So she's a righteous woman. I'm a righteous woman. Nothing ever happened. Fast forward. We're at Savior's Day, 1990 in Detroit in October.
Okay.
By this time, my marriage had dissolved. Her marriage had dissolved. At Savior's Day that year, her brother Amin, was standing post outside the hotel and got struck by a vehicle that crushed his skull.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's in the intensive care unit at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm the nation's doctor. So after Savior's Day is over, I'm still in Detroit by his bedside, trying to make sure that everything goes right. And his sister, mashallah, she's there by the bedside too. But she's better than me. See, I go back to the hotel to sleep. She stays there all night, all day, all night. She's whispering in his ear. They do the EEG. He has a crushed skull. Have you ever seen a like a hard-boiled egg and the entire shell is like crushed, like
Yes, sir.
salt?
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
how
sir.
his skull was. They did an EEG, flat line, brain dead. They repeated the EEG, flat line, brain dead. I'm there, I'm telling mashallah, she's not listening to the white doctors. I'm telling her, it looks like it's hopeless. There's no brain activity. He has a crushed skull. She wouldn't believe it. She wouldn't believe it. So then they're putting pressure on her. We need this ICU bed for a patient that has a chance of survival. He has no chance of survival. He's brain dead. She stood her ground. She literally fought them. You better not come in here and move my brother. Then she told me that the day came when he was in a coma on a respirator. And of course, his eyes were open and his corneas were drying out. So they wanted to sew his eyelids shut to preserve his corneas. So she now, again, that's not such a big thing from a doctor's point of view. It sounds terrible, but it's not such a big deal. But she thought it was a big deal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So she told me she stayed up all that night saying Al-Fatiha in his ear and telling him, he's in a coma now, telling him, you better move your foot when they come in the morning, otherwise they're going to sew your eyelids shut. She said that all night long. And then in the morning, when the doctors came in the room, they said, we come in to do the procedure. She said, no, he's responding. And she commanded him to move his toe. And he moved his toe. He moved his toe. And then he moved his foot. Then he started moving everything. Now, by this time, I'm back in Washington, D.C. I go back out to Detroit. I can't believe it myself.
Yes, sir.
So then, long story short, Brother Amin leaves the hospital, walks out of the hospital, comes back to Washington, D.C. to the rehab hospital. Brother Amin used to have a speech impediment. When he got out of the rehab hospital, I brought him to the mosque and stood him up in front of the mosque for him to have a few words.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everybody been praying for him. And there he was standing up. He was more articulate now than he was ever. His speech impediment was gone. So now I'm looking, earlier we were talking about the need for, when you have, claims that are extraordinary claims.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to have extraordinary proof.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you had told me as a doctor, if you showed me those EEGs, those electroencephalographs of a man with a flat line twice, and I've had my own hand on his head, and I know what his skull felt like. I put my own hand on his head. I examined him myself.
Yes, sir.
And I was convinced that it was hopeless. But mashallah didn't think it was hopeless. So now when he's recovered, he's standing up in front of the mosque talking about his experience. Well, I'm leaving out all the detail, but long story short, I hired mashallah. She didn't have any skills. She didn't even have a high school diploma. So the office manager said, what you hiring her for? She can't type, she can't do nothing. She almost had no employable skills. So we listed her as the housekeeper. But what was the real reason I hired her? I said, anybody that can raise the dead back to life. I don't know what she did, but I do know that man was dead. That man was brain dead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I do know that man came back to life, and she told me what she did and what she said. And you know, I can't make heads or tails, but that man came back.
Wow.
So that's why I hired her to work at the clinic. And
Yes,
she
sir.
worked at the clinic, cleaning up, doing different things. And I noticed that as long as she was around, she made all the patients feel better.
Okay.
And they all got better. And all of them were more compliant with doing what I was asking them to do just because of her presence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, to get to your question, how I ended up marrying her. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, when people talk about the domestic life of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there was a part of that domestic life where it was said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he took on these wives that Allah forced him. Have you heard that?
Yes, sir.
That Allah forced him.
Yes, sir.
To take these wives. Now, I would just be honest with you, I was kind of skeptical of that statement. What you mean Allah forced you to take these women? I mean, okay, I mean, that sounds like a good story, but come on now.
Okay.
But Allah is my witness. I was laying in my bed one night, trying to go to sleep. Very disturbed, not really sure what I was disturbed about. And couldn't quite go to sleep, you know, in that half sleep, half wake state. Now listen to what I'm getting ready to say. A big hand came and scooped me up and threw me out of the bed onto the floor. A big hand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't see it. I'm not saying I saw a hand, but you could imagine if you got picked up by a big hand
Yes.
and got like lightly, not hard, but lightly tossed onto the floor out of the bed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And while I was in midair, between the bed and the floor, Allah told me to go marry that woman, go find her. And when the sun rose that morning, I went looking for her.
Go ahead, Dr. Alim, go ahead.
And there's a whole lot of details I'm leaving out. But I'm just saying, you asked me how I chose her. No,
Yes,
Allah chose her for me.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I didn't have sense enough to choose somebody like that. Because what would people say? In other words, I'm just like anybody else. Here, I'm a doctor. Here's a woman, she don't even have a high school degree. So people are like, what you married to somebody don't even have a degree? And she even asked me that. When I actually proposed to her, guess what she said? She said, why you want to marry me? I don't even have a degree. I said, don't worry about that. I said, I got enough for both of us. She said, well, how come you don't marry one of these smart college girls? I said, honey, they're not as smart as you think. And she just laughed.
Dr. Alim, I never knew you were smooth, Dr. Alim. I ain't know the smooth side.
So that's how she accepted my proposal. You know, but it was, you know, I mean, really, it was, Allah forced me.
Yes, sir.
And I was so glad he did.
Wow, beautiful. And on that positive note, okay, Dr. Alim, okay, well, this is like interview 8, but you know, inshallah, we will bring you back again. But because we got so many more questions, but of course, we got to talk about your history and all of that. But I love hearing the love story and you know that beautiful side. I love hearing that. This is a great Mother's Day. Hope everyone, you know, show love to all the women out there. And Dr. Alim, may Allah continue to bless you and your family. Shout out to your son Kush. May Allah continue to bless him as well. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you again, Dr. Alim, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you all for watching. Today was great.